shopkeeper was engrossed in watching the news on TV, which highlighted a surge in tourist numbers along the west coast shoreline. However, a shadow cast a grim tone on the otherwise vibrant scene, as reports detailed the mysterious disappearance of 2 college students. Despite 30 days of relentless police efforts, there was no trace of the missing students. The shopkeeper, now visibly disturbed by the unsettling news, couldn't help but express frustration, questioning how he could sustain his business amidst the unsettling backdrop of people vanishing without a trace. In the midst of escalating concerns, the news broadcast delved further into darker territory, discussing recent murder cases that had gripped the community. Adding to the unfolding drama, the spotlight shifted to the world of music, revealing that the acclaimed artist Mr. J, currently under investigation for alleged drug use, had mysteriously gone missing. Rumors circulated that the boy band member had been introduced to a dubious dealer during a lavish boat party last year, raising eyebrows and deepening the intrigue surrounding the unfolding investigation. Frustration and anger welled up within the shopkeeper as he processed the barrage of disheartening news. Venting his exasperation, he exclaimed, "If I didn't know any better, I'd think they were handing out awards for being junkie singers. I swear, watching the damn news these days just makes your blood boil." His discontent echoed the sentiment of many grappling with the unsettling state of affairs in the country. Amidst the shopkeeper's vexation, a guy wearing a cap sat peacefully behind him, engrossed in his meal. Curious about his take on the distressing news, the shopkeeper inquired, "What are your thoughts on all this?" Unfazed, the guy continued eating, casting a nonchalant glance and coldly replied, "Yeah, whatever." It was evident that, at least for him, the turmoil in the news held little significance in that moment. As the guy finished his meal, he casually dropped money on the table, expressing gratitude to the shopkeeper for the food. As he prepared to leave, the shopkeeper called out, "Hey, don't forget your change." Unfazed, the guy turned around and, with a stoic expression, uttered, "Keep the change." Suddenly, a chill swept through the air as the shopkeeper, attempting to recall where he had seen the guy before, innocently mentioned, "I've seen you somewhere." In an unexpected turn of events, the guy swiftly approached the shopkeeper, locking eyes with him in a menacing stare. The shopkeeper, now gripped with fear, stammered as he realized the gravity of the situation, and the color drained from his face. Jin Hyuk Song jolted awake, panic etched across his face as the remnants of a nightmare lingered in his mind. Confusion gripped him as he surveyed his surroundings, attempting to discern where he was. Stepping outside, he encountered a lady diligently cleaning the floor, but the sight sent shivers down his spine. The floor bore an unsettling red hue, resembling blood. Turning around, the lady, dressed in somber black, greeted Jin Hyuk Song with a smile, relieved that he had finally awakened. Still disoriented, he questioned his whereabouts, prompting the lady to explain that he was at home. She revealed that his daughter had found him outside and brought him inside. Baffled and still haunted by the fragments of his memory, Jin Hyuk Song recounted a vague recollection of a boat accident at sea. The details eluded him, leaving him in a state of uncertainty about the events leading up to his unsettling awakening. The lady, maintaining her composure, responded with a hint of concern, "Oh dear, I see. I thought it was strange that we had a guest, given that we didn't have any reservations for today." Amidst the peculiar atmosphere, the lady informed Jin Hyuk Song that his breakfast was ready, emphasizing the scarcity of resources on the secluded island. Curiosity overcoming him, he inquired about the island's location, his eyes lingering on the blood-like color beneath the lady's feet. Sensing his discomfort, the lady suggested he put on some clothes. Feeling a tinge of shyness, Jin Hyuk Song apologized, but the lady responded with warmth, saying, "There's no need to be sorry. Please wait in your room. I'll bring you some clothes." In the next scene, Jin Hyuk Song finds himself deep in contemplation, trying to make sense of the mysterious circumstances surrounding him. Lost in thought, he ponders the peculiar events that led him to this unfamiliar island. Suddenly, a gentle knock on his door interrupts his reflections. As the door swings open, a vision of beauty steps into the room. The girl, named Romy, enters with a warm smile, holding a set of clothes for Jin Hyuk-song. His attention momentarily shifts as he appreciates her beauty, and a thought crosses his mind. Caught off guard by Romi's question about why he was staring, Jin Hyuk-song, feeling a bit nervous, responded, "I was just looking." Romi, however, sensed a deeper mystery and inquired about his name. Jin Hyuk-song, genuinely unaware due to his amnesia, admitted that he didn't know his own name. This revelation left Romi both surprised and amused. She couldn't help but burst into laughter at the irony of the situation, finding it hard to believe that someone could forget their own name. Amidst her laughter, Romi inquired about his memories, making Jin Hyuk-song even more uneasy. The realization of his amnesia dawned upon him, and he confessed not only did he not know his name, but he also had no recollection of where he was. The awkwardness of the situation lingered, with Romi's laughter echoing in the room, and Jin Hyuk-song feeling a mix of nervousness and confusion in the face of his forgotten identity. Curiosity guiding his words, Jin Hyuk-song questioned Romi about the location of the island. Eagerly, he responded with a hopeful yes when Romi asked if he really wanted to know. Intrigued by his curiosity, Romi probed further, asking why he was so keen on knowing their location. As the conversation unfolded, three figures lingered outside, observing the exchange. Romi, adopting a cold demeanor, finally responded, "You are at your home." The next day, everyone gathers at the dining table for prayers, including Jin Hyuk-song. A man with glasses, hopeful about Jin Hyuk-song's approval of the food, expresses his anticipation. Jin Hyuk-song graciously thanks them, acknowledging the generosity. When asked about his injury, he assures the men that he's okay, praising their bravery. As Jin Hyuk-song indulges in the delicious meal, he finds the flavors pleasing. The lady, satisfied with his response, affectionately pats him on the head and inquires about his enjoyment of the food. Jin Hyuk-song commends her culinary skills, but his frustration grows as the lady lingers. He becomes increasingly nervous, wondering why she is still there and what more she might want to hear. Jin Hyuk-song proceeds to express his appreciation for each dish, starting with the steak, which he commends for being perfectly cooked. He notes the excellent combination of flavors with the sauce, emphasizing that he usually doesn't enjoy steak at restaurants, but the one prepared by the lady is exceptional. The lady smiles, and her husband proudly mentions her culinary skills. As the conversation shifts, Jin Hyuk-song inquires about someone's whereabouts, but the man redirects the focus by asking Romi to pass the tea to Jin Hyuk-song. Romi handed the tea cup to Jin Hyuk-song, but to his surprise, the tea's color resembles the substance he noticed on the floor earlier red. Romi explains that the tea is made from cornelian cherries. However, the little girl, named Yumi, starts laughing and remarks that it reminds her of human blood, sending a shiver down Jin Hyuk-song's spine. Romi instructs Yumi to be quiet, but Yumi responds by calling her a derogatory term, further infuriating Romi. Their father intervenes, urging both girls to be silent. He directs Yumi to apologize to Romi, stating that she is not a whore, and also asks Romi to apologize to Yumi. However, Romi hesitates as Yumi initiated the conflict. The father gives them both a stern look, leaving Romi and Jin Hyuk-song astonished. Romi eventually apologizes to her sister. Meanwhile, a guy named Minu checks the time on a clock and leaves. Concerned, Jin Hyuk-song inquires about his destination. The guy's mother responds, stating that he's going to work. Jin Hyuk-song asks the lady about the type of work Minu does, and she responds that he is a pig caretaker. She mentions that the steak they are eating is also from a pig, and Yumi, the little girl, slaughtered it herself. This revelation shocks Jin Hyuk-song, realizing that the young kid slaughtered a pig. The next morning, Jin Hyuk-song is washing dishes when the lady comes in, telling him that he doesn't need to do that. However, Jin Hyuk-song insists on helping to give her some time to rest. The lady is pleased and leaves the area. Suddenly, Jin Hyuk-song gazes at the knife and feels a moment of unease. Night falls, and Jin Hyuk-song finds himself lost in thought in his room. He reflects on the strange nature of the people around him and contemplates his current location. Memories resurface, particularly a dream he had about news at the shopkeeper's place. In the present, he retrieves a knife hidden under his pillow, explaining that it's the only way he can sleep peacefully. There's a knock on the door and someone seeks permission to enter. It's the lady, and she questions why he's awake at such a late hour. Jin Hyuk-song responds that he's about to sleep. The lady places her hands on his shoulders with an ominous expression and asks if he took the kitchen knife as it's missing. Jin Hyuk-song is taken aback, wondering how she could have known it was him. Despite his surprise, he denies any involvement. The lady reassures him, saying it's okay and that she knows he's not responsible. She speculates that Yumi might have taken the knife again, expressing frustration as she leaves the room. Apologizing to Jin Hyuk-song, she adds that all payments are on hold until his memory fully returns before exiting. Jin Hyuk-song is now feeling uneasy in this peculiar household. He notices the door lock has been completely removed, leaving him unable to secure his room. As night falls, Jin Hyuk-song attempts to sleep but finds it difficult. He reflects on the strange environment and questions how he's supposed to rest in such a place. Unable to find comfort in his bed, he moves to the window, contemplating how he can recover his memories to uncover his identity and location. The weight of past memories overwhelms Jin Hyuk-song as he absent-mindedly checks his mobile phone, though he refrains from turning it on. Frustrated, he tosses the device aside. Returning to the present, he notices Minyu with an unfamiliar person, piquing his curiosity. Clutching a knife, he stealthily exits his room, contemplating the stranger's identity. The absence of the person at the dinner table adds to Jin Hyuk-song's suspicions. As Jin Hyuk-song attempts to leave the house, he overhears individuals discussing his supposed involvement with the missing knife, prompting them to search for it the following day. Ignoring the chatter, Jin Hyuk-song departs. Meanwhile, Minyu converses with the unidentified person about plans for the morning before Minyu departs. The individual, unaware of Jin Hyuk-song's presence, curses Minyu as he leaves, labeling him a bastard. Seizing the opportunity, Jin Hyuk-song calls out to the person, causing them to startle in fear and hastily proclaim innocence, citing an impending work obligation. Taehyui Jin introduces himself, and when Jin Hyuk-song inquires about whether he resides in the same place, Taehyui Jin responds with an air of mystery, suggesting that Jin Hyuk-song may know him. Jin Hyuk-song, grappling with memory loss, expresses his lack of recollection regarding their previous encounters. Asking Taehyui about their location, Jin Hyuk-song is met with reluctance and a stern warning not to delve into such inquiries. Taehyui then recounts a night from the past where Jin Hyuk-song was pursued by someone in a mask. He describes Jin Hyuk-song seeking refuge in a house, only to be struck in the head with a shovel by the masked individual. Taehyui cryptically advises Jin Hyuk-song to prove his worth to those around them, leaving him bewildered. We transition to the next scene where the lady approaches Jin Hyuk-song holding a flickering lantern. With each step, she calls out to him, inquiring if he is asleep. Jin Hyuk-song, gripped by fear, remains motionless in his bed. Peering through the broken lock, the lady observes Jin Hyuk-song lying there and comments on how he manages to sleep under such circumstances before departing. Jin Hyuk-song, now perturbed, questions the seemingly endless night, tossing and turning in bed in an attempt to find sleep. To his surprise, hours slip by unnoticed. Gazing at the moon through the window, he ponders once more, questioning why the moon persists in the sky. The waves of past memories hit Jin Hyuk-song as he recalls a moment from his childhood, sitting alone on a swing, engrossed in his mobile phone when suddenly he loses his balance and falls. The morning arrives and Jin Hyuk-song is seated at the breakfast table. The man with glasses inquires about his night, noting that he looks tired. The lady chimes in, mentioning that he seems to have trouble sleeping in new places. Jin Hyuk-song dismisses their concern, saying there's no need to worry. The man persists, asking about Jin Hyuk-song's memories, but he responds that he hasn't regained them. Yumi playfully annoys her sister Romi, and the lady suggests that Jin Hyuk-song should rest more, clarifying that she's not a doctor but still offering the advice. Jin Hyuk-song expresses gratitude to everyone. Jin Hyuk-song is taken aback by the meal, which is entirely different from the one served the previous night. The lady inquires if he enjoyed the previous night's meal, and Jin Hyuk-song, surprised, asks if she prepared all of this herself. The entire family gives him an unsettling look, momentarily unsettling him. The man asks Jin Hyuk-song about a problem, to which he replies that he doesn't have a problem and was just asking. As everyone begins to pray, the lady interrupts, telling the man that if he has something to say, he can talk about it tomorrow. The man reaches for his shoes, only to find them dirty. Jin Hyuk-song isn't surprised because he took the man's shoes last night. The man becomes concerned, wondering if someone else used his shoes. Romi suggests that maybe Minyu took his shoes, as no one else would use them. Yumi taunts her brother, saying that he's in trouble. The dad asks Minyu about the shoes, emphasizing that he doesn't like lies. He gets closer to Minyu and questions him about the shoes. However, Jin Hyuk-song intervenes, shouting to stop the questioning. He confesses that it was him who used the shoes, explaining that he walked outside because he was bored. The entire family now looks at Jin Hyuk-song, who apologizes. The man asks if their house bored him, suggesting they need to entertain him, his eyes wide with suspicion. We transition to the next scene, where the man takes Jin Hyuk-song hunting. A shot rings out and a pigeon falls. The man explains that the others fled due to the noise. Reloading his gun, he aims at a pigeon, noting that the clueless ones are the stragglers. He takes the shot and the pigeon drops into the water. Handing his gun to Jin Hyuk-song, he encourages him to give it a try. Jin Hyuk-song hesitates, admitting that he's never used a gun before. The man inquires if he's scared, but Jin Hyuk-song responds that he doesn't understand the purpose of killing them when they're not planning to eat them. The man responded coldly, "Because you are bored." He then turned around, pointing his finger towards a bird, instructing Jin Hyuk-song to shoot that one. However, Jin Hyuk-song, instead of aiming at the bird, points the gun towards the man. Intrigued, the man asks for the reason behind pointing the gun at him. Jin Hyuk-song calmly replies, "Because I don't know why you're not answering my questions." The man, puzzled, inquires about the question, to which Jin Hyuk-song asks about their location, the disheveled man treated like a slave, and what the man is doing on this seemingly random island. The man snatches the gun, asserting that the island has no name. The person Jin Hyuk-song referred to as a slave is a valued employee, and Jin Hyuk-song is their guest. Curious about the man's intentions, Jin Hyuk-song inquires further. The man begins calculating the expenses, stating that a room costs $150 per night, meals are $11 each, and hunting is $30 per session. He questions Jin Hyuk-song's ability to pay and criticizes him for pointing a gun at his host. Taking matters into his own hands, the man grabs the weapon from Jin Hyuk-song and aims it back at him. A moment of fear sets in for Jin Hyuk-song, but the weapon fails to fire. The man casually explains that double-barrel shotguns don't need to be reloaded after every 2 shots. The man questions Jin Hyuk-song, asking if he believed he would offer a free hunting session. He scolds Jin Hyuk-song for not realizing the gun was empty and warns him against doing anything dangerous, shooting him an evil gaze. Jin Hyuk-song responds with a smile, acknowledging the man's point. As time passes, Jin Hyuk-song sits by the sea, contemplating the identity and motives of these people. The memories of his past weigh heavily on his mind, causing a headache. He notices a post nearby and approaches it. To his surprise, the end of the post is sharp like a pencil, a stark contrast from what he remembers in his past. He examines the post and questions whether it has always been like this. Jin Hyuk-song opened the post box and discovers a puzzle page inside. Curious, he wonders about its significance. Behind the puzzle page, the number 5 is written, leaving Jin Hyuk-song puzzled. He swiftly hides the page as Romi approaches him, inquiring about his day with her dad. Jin Hyuk-song simply comments, "Your dad is quite intriguing." Romy smiles at his remark and invites him for a walk to chat further. Jin Hyuk-song questions Romy about her father's statement that the island has no name, to which she confirms. Jin Hyuk-song then asks if they are still in Korea. Romy playfully turns around and holds Jin Hyuk-song's face in a romantic manner, contemplating whether she should share more interesting details. Maintaining a Sigma demeanor, Jin Hyuk-song casually inquires about Romy's age. Romy responds, asserting her adulthood, and teasingly touches Jin Hyuk-song's face, stating that she's old enough to have some fun. She invites him to a fishing spot, mentioning that it usually costs $30 per session, but she suggests doing it for free. Jin Hyuk-song is puzzled, wondering if Romy is talking about actual fishing. She bursts into laughter, asking him what he expected from their conversation. Jin Hyuk-song admits he has no idea what she's talking about, and they playfully continue bantering. They are now sitting close to each other in a peaceful manner. Romy suggests that trying various activities might help Jin Hyuk-song regain his memories, all while casually peeling a lugworm, much to Jin Hyuk-song's disgust. Romy comments on how the lugworm is pretty gross, but he doesn't seem too bothered, stating that he's the one easily scared. In response, Jin Hyuk-song explains that he doesn't know who he is, and being with strangers makes him a bit scared. Feeling a bit uneasy, he questions if he said something wrong as Romy continues to gaze at him. Romy apologized to Jin Hyuk-song, acknowledging that her family isn't normal. Her father is extremely strict and religious, bringing them to the island because he disliked the city. Her mom is somewhat oblivious to the world, being somewhat narcissistic. Romy's older brother lives in his own world, and she expresses concern about her little sister and how she will turn out. Jin Hyuk-song responds, telling Romy that she seems quite critical of her family. Romy then shares more about her younger sister Yumi, who engages in nonsensical activities like killing bugs for fun. Jin Hyuk-song reflects on the innocence of children at Yumi's age, understanding that they often don't distinguish between right and wrong, leading them to engage in such activities. Romy becomes suspicious, wondering if Jin Hyuk-song is also like this. After a moment of contemplation, he responds that he doesn't remember. Romy expresses her surprise, mentioning that she hasn't met someone with amnesia before. She apologizes for her actions and assures him of her willingness to help. Jin Hyuk-song ponders their past interactions, considering if there was a misunderstanding between them. Suddenly, a fish is caught on the rod, and Romy tells Jin Hyuk-song to grab his rod. He shouts at Romy, questioning why she didn't instruct him on how to fish. Romy attempts to take the rod from him, but she slips and falls onto Jin Hyuk-song's chest. Concerned for Romy's well-being, Jin Hyuk-song asks about her health and suggests being more careful next time. Romy looks around to ensure no one is watching, then grabs Jin Hyuk-song's shoulder, leaning in closer to his mouth, expressing her desire to escape from the situation. Romy runs from the scene, leaving Jin Hyuk-song to ponder whether she also wants to escape from this place. He gazes towards the book, picks it up, and is surprised to find all the pages empty. As time shifts, Jin Hyuk-song heads towards the house with the book. On the way, he spots Minu coming from the front, carrying a bag on his back and a grass cutter. Jin Hyuk-song apologized to Yooni for the morning incident, but Yooni didn't reply and left. Jin Hyuk-song called out to Yooni again, and when he turned around, he left without saying anything. Jin Hyuk-song wondered if he was being mistreated. He then went to the house, where past memories flooded back. Tae-jin had asked him to prove his worth. The man with glasses had inquired about the missing shoes, and Romy had expressed her desire to leave this place. Worried by the eerie atmosphere of the place, Jin Hyuk-song is suddenly approached by Minu, who whispers in his right ear, expressing a desire to ask something. Startled, Jin Hyuk-song explains that he was about to return the book to Romy. Minu, now in a sinister demeanor, questions Jin Hyuk-song about whether he killed Romy. Shocked by the accusation, Jin Hyuk-song vehemently denies any involvement in Romy's harm. However, Minu, with eyes glowing ominously, threatens Jin Hyuk-song, claiming he intends to kill him. Jin Hyuk-song dashes towards the house gate, desperately attempting to open it, all the while shouting for help. Panicking, he questions Minwoo, questioning whether he's a psychopath. In the midst of his fear, Yumi enters the scene and informs Minwoo that she saw Romi doing a fashion show in her room. Minwoo, surprised, realizes that Romi is not dead. Yumi then asks Jin Hyuk-song for the book, which she snatches from him. Opening the book, she tosses it aside, leaving Jin Hyuk-song bewildered by the unfolding events. Minwoo suggests that I can assist with her work, emphasizing that Romi is her older sister and deserves respectful language. Jin Hyuk-song, astonished by the situation, wonders if Minwoo has decided not to harm him. As Minwoo starts to leave without an apology, Jin Hyuk-song stops both of them, enraged. He demands an apology for the unsettling events that have unfolded. Yumi questions Minwoo if he did something wrong, and Minwoo denies it. Jin Hyuk-song, frustrated, claims that Minwoo tried to kill him. However, Minwoo misunderstands, thinking Jin Hyuk-song killed Romi. Yumi lightens the situation by suggesting a reward for Jin Hyuk-song, and she slaps his brother butt. Jin Hyuk-song, irritated by the kid's humor, is still upset about the serious threat. Yumi urges Jin Hyuk-song to let the matter slide, explaining that Minwoo only made a verbal threat. Minwoo, however, asserts that he would genuinely harm Jin Hyuk-song if he harmed Romi. Yumi then queries Jin Hyuk-song if he genuinely intends to harm Romi, to which he replies no. Yumi concludes that the problem is resolved and both siblings leave the scene. Despite this, Jin Hyuk-song remains angry and demands an apology. Yumi turns back, approaches Jin Hyuk-song, and explains that her brother is not normal, trying to justify the confusion. Jin Hyuk-song exclaims that Minwoo was trying to kill him, but Yumi dismisses it, claiming he's overreacting and calls him a wuss. Enraged by the term, Jin Hyuk-song pushes Yumi, causing her to fall. Yumi screams, drawing the attention of the lady in the house, who comes out to inquire about the commotion. Yumi explains that Jin Hyuk-song insulted Minwoo, calling him retarded, and he called her a brat. Shocked, Jin Hyuk-song denies the accusations. The lady instructs Jin Hyuk-song to calm down, expressing that his loud voice frightened her. She advises him not to insult her children. Despite Jin Hyuk-song's attempts to explain, Yumi provides misinformation to her mother, resulting in the lady giving Jin Hyuk-song an evil gaze. The lady informs Jin Hyuk-song that they need to have a conversation. In the following scene, the lady and Jin Hyuk-song sit down for tea. Jin Hyuk-song attempts to explain the misunderstanding, but the lady brings up the topic of the kitchen knife. Denying any knowledge, Jin Hyuk-song is puzzled as the lady mentions finding the knife everywhere but not locating it. Jin Hyuk-song contemplates why the lady is suddenly questioning him about the knife. The lady, however, confidently asserts, "I know you took the knife." Under the cover of the night, Jin Hyuk-song makes his way to the cabin of his childhood, carrying a gas can. As he steps inside, he is met with a noxious stench, a clear sign that the house has been closed for an extended period. As time passes, Jin Hyuk-song prepares a meal for himself, lost in thought. The act of cooking triggers memories of the lady who once denied him a place to sleep, citing a lack of trust after he took that knife. Jin Hyuk-song insisted to the lady that he didn't steal the knife, but she remained silent, sipping her tea. Eventually, the lady informed him that he would have to stay in the cabin until the missing knife was located. In the present, Jin Hyuk-song holds the knife, pondering how the lady knew he took it. Finishing his meal, he lies on the ground, contemplating his situation. Despite the discomfort, he acknowledges that staying here might be safest. He observes trails from the windows, a strategic advantage for detecting visitors. Considering blocking the entrance with boxes to prevent anyone from entering without waking him, Jin Hyuk-song drifts into sleep. Jin Hyuk-song gazes at the moon, urging anyone present to leave. As he closes his eyes, a mosquito lands on his face, biting him. Annoyed, he swiftly smacks his face, cursing the mosquitoes disturbing his solitude. After some time, he hears a sound and wakes up. Outside the house, he sees a child sitting on a swing, wondering why the child is there all night. The child turns to Jin Hyuk-song, giving him an evil gaze, holding a mobile in his hand. Jin Hyuk-song, now scared, sees the child running away and shouts for the kid to stop. He starts chasing the child, who disappears into the grass. Jin Hyuk-song searches in the darkness, wondering where the child has gone, but finds nothing. Jin Hyuk-song, feeling scared, debates whether to return to the cabin. Suddenly, he hears a noise, possibly a child. He calls out, but there's no response. The noise persists, this time from the left. When he turns to investigate, there's still no one in sight. Despite his apprehension, Jin Hyuk-song cautiously moves towards the source of the mysterious sound. Jin Hyuk-song is abruptly startled as he witnesses a man with a pig face stand in front of him, accompanied by two identical individuals with matching expressions looming in the background. The shocking sight leaves Jin Hyuk-song in a state of bewilderment. Jin Hyuk-song abruptly awakens in his bed, greeted by the soft light filtering through the door. Realizing that it was just a dream, he takes a moment to collect himself in the quiet of the morning. In the morning, Jin Hyuk-song heads outside to the swing, where the kid is sitting. He shares his unsettling dream, expressing how eerily real it felt. As he continues his day, he searches for his mobile phone, hoping to ground himself in reality. Tae-jin intercepts, cautioning Jin Hyuk-song about not venturing to the bad side and how it complicates his life. Tae-jin mentions coming to fix the doorless cabin, and Jin Hyuk-song expresses gratitude. When asked about his employment, Tae-jin cryptically responds, "Maybe if that's what they told you, then I guess I am an employee." Jin Hyuk-song inquires if Tae-jin is against the others, to which Tae-jin cryptically responds, "Can't you tell?" Later, Tae-jin successfully installs the door, dismissing Jin Hyuk-song's thanks. Jin Hyuk-song asks Tae-jin if he has a plan to leave this place, making Tae-jin nervous. Jin Hyuk-song speculates that since the family runs a boarding house and takes reservations, they likely have a phone or internet connection. He is confident they also have a boat. Tae-jin tells Jin Hyuk-song that he can only wish him the best of luck and leaves. However, Jin Hyuk-song confronts Tae-jin, expressing his awareness that Tae-jin also wants to leave. He reminds Tae-jin of his earlier statement that these people aren't normal and suggests that they should help each other. Jin Hyuk-song emphasizes that he lost his phone and feels helpless, urging Tae-jin that they should collaborate and help each other. However, Tae-jin remains silent, prompting Jin Hyuk-song to question why he is so quiet and why he hasn't asked for help. Shouting, Jin Hyuk-song states that if this place truly operates as a boarding house, guests will surely come, and that will be their opportunity to seek assistance. Tae-jin finally breaks his silence and reveals that guests have indeed come, and they arrived a while back. Jin Hyuk-song is shocked and questions the truth of this statement. However, Tae-jin, with blood on his hands, points his finger at Jin Hyuk-song, stating that for now he is the guest. This revelation leaves Jin Hyuk-song both scared and shocked. Tae-jin informs Jin Hyuk-song that he's going for a lunch break. However, when Jin Hyuk-song grabs his hand, he notices needle holes on Tae-jin's elbow, leaving him shocked and bewildered. Tae-jin frees his hand and confronts Jin Hyuk-song, asking him with an evil face, "Did you see it, motherfucker?" Now, both stand in silence, gazing at each other. Jin Hyuk-song, now angered, questions Tae-jin, asking if he believes he is an easy target. He further inquires about the needle marks, seizing Tae-jin by his shirt. He demands Tae if he is a drug addict, angrily labeling him a son of a bitch. Some time passes, and Tae-jin, now frightened, apologizes to Jin Hyuk-song. They are seen sitting together, where Jin Hyuk-song questions him about the incident when Manu knocked him out, asking if it was a joke. Jin Hyuk-song further inquires about the things he said earlier, particularly if the idea that the guest is inside him was also a joke. Tae-jin, with an innocent face, tells Jin Hyuk-song that he was fooling around. However, this statement angers Jin Hyuk-song, and he slaps Tae-hee-jin, warning him not to do it again. Tae-hee-jin apologizes and assures Jin Hyuk-song that he won't do anything like that again. Jin Hyuk-song then questions Tae-hee about running a lodging business, to which Tae-hee asks if he believes people's words so easily. Jin, angered by the situation, is now in a state of discomfort. Tae-hee, assuming a comforting position, explains that in their predicament, guests seldom arrive and the people here are problematic. He expresses his inability to get along with them. Jin, still upset, questions Tae-hee about how he can escape this place, emphasizing that he is not a slave and questioning why he is sticking around. Tae-hee, now nervous, faces Jin's inquiry about the recent needle marks on his hands. Jin points out that the marks seem recent, and Tae-hee is visibly shocked. Jin presses him for an answer, but Tae-hee cryptically mentions if Jin really didn't recognize him. Confused and nervous, Jin questions Tae-hee about how he could possibly know him since they are meeting for the first time. But Tae-hee explains that he's gained weight now and is no longer as recognizable despite being super famous. Jin is nervous about what Tae-hee is talking about, and suddenly Tae-hee stands up and tries to push Jin but ends up doing some dance moves. He jokingly calls himself a celebrity and a singer, referencing his days as a former national star. Jin is now contemplating the situation, wondering if this is the same singer Jae he heard about in the shopkeeper's store and on the news. He tells Tae-hee that he heard about him at a seafood place in the news, leaving Tae-hee questioning what the kid is talking about. Jin grabs Tae-hee's hand, affirming that he knows him as the singer Tae-hee, the idol who struggled with addiction. Tae-hee is shocked by Jin's revelation, but Jin explains that news reporters mentioned him going missing. Tae-hee is relieved, thinking that Jin is regaining his memory, but Jin, holding his head, shares that memories are slowly coming back, and he believes they will return in full soon. Tae-hee awkwardly asks Jin if he forgives him for his prank. Suddenly, a voice comes from Tae-hee's walkie-talkie, inquiring about his whereabouts. Tae-hee responds, saying he will check the public restroom and guest room B windows. After ending the call, Tae-hee mentions that he hasn't done that for a while. Jin is curious about what's happening, and Tae-hee explains that guests have arrived. To Jin's surprise, a beautiful couple is being welcomed by the lady and her husband. This revelation leaves Jin in shock. Jin now stands behind the tree, observing the couples as the lady and her husband escort them to their house. Jin becomes curious, realizing that if guests have arrived, it means they also have a ship. He hurriedly moves. He mentions that he doesn't want to stay at this place for a second because it's creepy. Seeing footprints, he wonders if he should follow them to find the boat. While rushing, Romi's words come to his mind. She also wants to leave. He thinks he shouldn't be worried about her. As he runs, to his surprise, Romi is standing in front of him. Romi questions Jin about where he is going, asking if he is leaving. Jin replies that he is going to the boat. Romi suggests going together, but Jin doesn't reply. Romi pleads with Jin, asking if they are abusing him. Jin questions Romi about why she left the empty book and why she did that to him. Romi explains that they are not her real family. They both rush together, but after some time, Romi looks tired. Jin holds her hand, and they continue running until they finally find the boat. However, Minyu is sitting at the boat. Romi tells Jin that she will distract Minyu Appa. She instructs him that if things go south, he needs to escape on his own and promises that he will come back to help her. Romi calls out to Minyu and says she wants to show him something. Minyu arrives and tells Romi that their dad will scold her for being there. Romi takes the lipstick from her bag and applies it. She asks Minyu if he likes the trendy lipstick on her. Minyu, confused, says it must look good. Behind Minyu, Jin is holding a stone, attempting to attack him, but Minyu quickly grabs Jin's hand and then seizes his neck, forcing him to the ground. Romi intervenes, telling Minyu to stop the fight as she instructed Jin to do it. Jin signals to Romi to leave in a hurry. However, Minyu, now with an evil expression, tells Romi that she cannot leave. Jin grabs Minyu and instructs Romi to leave, reminding her of the promise to come back for him. Romy affirms her commitment and jumps into the river, starts the boat, and sails away. Minyu shouts at Romy, warning her of the trouble she will face with their dad, but she runs away. Minyu turns to Jin, calling him a bastard, but Jin questions why Minyu didn't take them away from the island. With Romy gone, Minyu watches Jin with an evil gaze. Some time passes, and Jin is now sitting with Romy's father. The man asks Jin if he helped Romy escape the island. Jin explains that his daughter wanted to leave, but the man angrily responds that he is in charge of his daughter, and outsiders are not allowed to interfere in such matters. Jin, with an evil gaze, questions the man, asking if he truly believes he is in charge. The lady asks her husband what they can do now that Romy is already gone and Jin's actions may harm them if Romy doesn't come back. Romy's sister, Yumi, is eating something and she laughs, telling her mom that she is pretty funny. Her dad tells Yumi that her sense of humor is pretty good, and he starts laughing too. Jin is now furious, questioning the man about constantly mistreating Romy, which silences the entire family. He reveals that Romy mentioned they are not her real family and shows the book with blank pages, seeking an explanation. Romy asked for help, and Jin is determined to understand the truth. The entire family is shocked, with the man accusing Jin of losing his mind. The lady dismisses Romy's actions as a joke, while Yumi refers to Romy as a crazy person, prompting the lady to reprimand her for her language. The man suggests a frank conversation and asks Jin to identify the most abnormal person among them, leaving Jin bewildered. The man stands up and approaches Jin, accusing him of suddenly appearing with lost memories and not knowing who he is. And mention Jin's who takes a butcher knife from the kitchen and mentions that Jin took his shoes without permission and assisted his daughter in escaping. The man places his hand on Jin's shoulder with an evil gaze, claiming that Jin attempted to kill his son with a rock. Yumi asks Minyu if what their father said is true, and Minyu confirms it. Yumi nonchalantly mentions that Jin also tried to hit her, so it's not surprising. The father is shocked and demands an explanation. Jin pushes the man's hand away, thanks them for their assistance, and apologizes for making them uncomfortable. He takes responsibility for what happened to their daughter and requests access to a phone and the internet to leave the place. Jin explains that he's not just a victim of a marine accident. He needs medical treatment and can't afford to stay. He emphasizes that he's not normal and needs to leave quickly. The man insists that there is no phone or internet on the island, and Yumi dismissively laughs, stating that there is nothing here. Jin is shocked, considering the arrival of guests today and the arrangements made. The lady questions Jin about what he means by guests, and he accuses her of lying, claiming to have seen them with his own eyes. Jin recalls the past conversation with Tahi on the walkie-talkie, and he rushes towards the stairs to check the rooms. To his surprise, all the rooms are empty. The man asks Jin what he's doing, and Jin, frustrated, grabs the man's shirt, demanding to know where the guests are. Yumi, intrigued, looks at Jin and asks him to tell them the names of the guests. Minyu interrupts, reading a passage from the book, describing the morning sunshine breaking through the sea breeze. He continues, "The salt-laden scent of the sea struggled against the sunshine to be the first to get past the windowsill. I love this place dearly, but this place hates me." Jin is taken aback, realizing it's a book Romy likes. Yumi insults Romy again, criticizing her acting. Minyu shows the book to Jin, claiming it's not empty, but Jin can't see a single word, making him nervous. Jin scolds Minyu, criticizing his speech as foolish and mocking his reading abilities. He playfully snatches a book from Minyu, revealing its emptiness to emphasize his point. Turning his attention to Yumi, Jin challenges her to read the same paragraph his brother just read. Yumi tells him why she should be exempt. Growing frustrated, Jin asserts that none of them can actually read, insinuating that Minyu fabricated the entire situation on the spot. Yumi tells Jin that she can read but not want to. The entire family gazes at Jin, prompting him to angrily question their collective judgment. He argues that it's irrational to trust the lodging establishment without confirming their ability to contact the police. He loudly protests to the men, accusing them of falsely implicating him, asserting that he had no intention of deceiving them. He confronts the man, questioning him about his actions involving a junkie idol. The man inquires about the identity of the junkie idol, but Jin warns him not to feign ignorance. Jin vehemently declares that he is not a slave and demands information about the name of the island. In response, the man questions Jin's knowledge, asking if he is unaware of the numerous uninhabited islands in his own country. He challenges Jin's assumption that every island must have a name, leading Jin to angrily dismiss the man as nonsensical. The man shifts his attention to Tahi and acknowledges the accuracy of what Tahi stated, expressing concern about Jin's deteriorating condition. Jin observes Tahi holding a gun, and the man approaches Tahi, discreetly placing something in his pocket while instructing him to keep Jin restrained. Tahi, now pointing the gun at Jin, responds to Jin's fearful inquiry, explaining that he had advised Jin to stay in the good graces of these individuals and prove his usefulness. Tahi adds a touch of sarcasm, noting that Jin seems to excel in taking people at their word without skepticism. The scene shifts to a cabin where Jin is confined, lying on the ground, desperately attempting to avoid dwelling on the dire situation. The more he contemplates, the more he feels ensnared by the predicament. Amidst the chaos of his thoughts, one persistent question surfaces: is Romy coming back? However, Jin realizes he cannot afford to wait for Romy. Instead, he must focus on formulating an escape plan. In his contemplation, Jin reflects on the past when guests actually arrived. He wonders if there might be another building on the island or a concealed basement that could potentially offer a means of escape. Determined to find a way out, Jin's thoughts shift to the possibilities beyond the confines of his current predicament. Jin rises to his feet, driven by a sense of urgency to find a solution. Desperate to meet the guests he believes are in danger, he begins searching the room. Determined, he uses a rod to break open the door, realizing the gravity of the situation. Addressing the rod, he metaphorically speaks of combining strengths to escape before it's too late. In the midst of his efforts, a dart catches his eye, prompting him to pick it up. To his surprise, upon rotating the dart, he discovers a puzzle page attached to it. Curious, he unzips the page from the dart, only to find the cryptic word 9 written behind it, leaving him baffled and questioning the significance of this discovery. Amidst his confusion, a sudden noise interrupts his thoughts. Checking the window, Jin is startled to see the same boy sitting on a swing outside. Doubt creeps in as he wonders, is this a dream? The surreal nature of the situation adds an eerie layer to Jin's already perplexing circumstances. Calling out to the kid, Jin urgently explains his predicament, requesting a phone to contact someone. He sweetens the deal, offering snacks or even a console or computer in return. However, the kid abruptly runs away, leaving Jin frustrated and determined not to lose this potential ally. In an impulsive move, Jin smashes the window, leaps out, and attempts to grab the swing's handle. Failing to hold on, he plummets but manages to clutch onto the swing chain, lowering himself to the ground. Collecting himself, Jin takes a deep breath, emphasizing the pressing need for a phone. His focus has shifted from making a call to a more fundamental quest rediscovering his own identity. As Jin departs, the camera lingers on a handprint left on the swing, a tangible mark of his desperate attempt to break free and unravel the mysteries that shroud his existence. Jin chases after the child, arriving at the same grassy area he saw in his dream. Searching the surroundings, he hears a voice and locates the child. Jin requests the return of his phone, stating that the child's behavior is similar to others. The child informs Jin that he can't return the phone because he never took it. Jin is shocked to see the phone in the child's hand, realizing it belongs to him. Suddenly, a voice is heard behind Jin, and he turns to see large pig shapes with black eyes staring at him. Jin is shocked as the pigs approach him. He closes his eyes, and the pigs smell him before disappearing. Now nervous, Jin wonders if he is going crazy. Some time passes, and Jin returns to his cabin. He unlocks the door, enters, and notices a rod. Using the rod that he had used breaks the window. To his surprise, there's a piece of paper tucked in one corner of the rod. Jin takes the paper and discovers it's another puzzle. As he rotates the paper, he finds the number 3 written on it. Jin is now furious, laughing loudly as he contemplates if this prank has gone too far. He shouts out, demanding to know who is behind this elaborate joke. His past memories come flooding back, recalling moments like when he questioned Tahi about the needles on his hand and when Romi's father instructed Tahi to bring Jin to quarantine. In the present, Jin wonders if he's under the influence of drugs or if these people are mixing something in the food. He gazes at the numbers 5, 9, 3, contemplating if they hold any significance. Additionally, he scrutinizes the mosaic, pondering if it conceals some hidden reality. Despite his prolonged examination, Jin struggles to decipher the secrets behind the mosaic. As night falls, Jin continues searching through a box, emphasizing that he can handle things and needs to focus on escaping. In the process, he discovers a pair of binoculars. Curious, he peers through them, observing their house from a distance. He contemplates the options between the knife and the rod, weighing their respective dangers. After careful consideration, he decides that the knife is too perilous, opting instead for the rod. He takes the rod and exits the cabin, leaving the knife behind. Jin discreetly observes the members of the house from behind a tree. He notices the man wielding a gun, prompting Jin to mutter under his breath, calling him a crazy bastard. Yumi, on the other hand, is engrossed in an unsettling activity, decapitating a bug. Jin finds this behavior disturbing and wonders about her sanity. Yumi suddenly glances in Jin's direction, causing a momentary panic, but she looks away without seeming to notice him. Jin breathes a sigh of relief, feeling a bit more composed. Jin observes Minhu emerging from the house, holding something in his hands. Jin, labeling Minhu as a crazy bastard, wonders if he is up to his antics again. Jin notices that Minhu is carrying a bag of meat, leading him to speculate about the possibility of a barbecue party. He muses about whether they are neglecting to feed the pigs. Jin smiles, confident that he knows Minhu's destination. Some time passes, and Jin follows Minhu, speculating that Minhu must be heading towards the guests. He observes Minhu going into the house, contemplating whether this could be guest room B, which doesn't seem luxurious enough. Jin patiently waits for Minhu to come out. As time goes by, Jin grows tired of waiting. When he sees Minhu finally leaving the house, Jin seizes the opportunity to enter. However, he is perplexed as to why all the lights are off inside. Calling out to see if anyone is present, Jin ventures further into the house. He hears a desperate voice calling for help and is startled. To his surprise, he notices a telephone nearby that is continuously ringing. Jin picks up the phone, and a voice on the other end pleads for help, expressing fear of someone trying to kill them. Jin, now frightened, questions the identity of the person and the danger they need saving from. The voice on the phone reiterates the urgency, urging Jin to save them. Jin once again inquires about the caller's identity, but the person continues to plead for help, emphasizing the unfairness of their situation. Jin asks if they are the couple who recently arrived on the island, but the person on the other end remains focused on seeking assistance. Frustrated, Jin raises his voice, questioning the lady on the phone about her whereabouts and her boyfriend. However, the lady abruptly ends the call, leaving Jin perplexed. He glances at the dial pad and decides to dial 112, the emergency helpline number in Korea. The phone beeps, indicating a connection, and someone answers the call after a moment. Jin informs the officer that he needs help as he is stranded on an island. The officer inquires about the name of the island, but Jin admits he doesn't know the name or location. Jin adds that there is a peculiar family on the island, and though he struggles to explain, he emphasizes that they are strange. The officer expresses difficulty in understanding and requests clarification from Jin. Jin reiterates his accident and transfer to the island, urgently seeking rescue. The officer asks for Jin's exact location, but Jin, frustrated, asks if they can't trace the call. The officer advises Jin to seek help from the people around him. Jin, frustrated, insists that they are strange. The officer asks Jin to explain how they are strange, but Jin angrily demands that the officer trace his number and find him as soon as possible. The call abruptly hangs up. Following the hang-up, a mysterious voice on the line questions Jin, asking if he knows how many uninhabited islands there are in the country and suggesting that not every island has a name. This statement unsettles Jin. Jin is visibly scared by the man's ominous words and drops the phone. He questions whether he is still inside some hallucination. His curiosity leads him to a nearby trash bin where he finds a severed human head with a lot of blood. Shocked and terrified, he wonders that is this the guest who arrived today, and Jin screams in fear. Some time passed and Jin emerged from the house looking tired, with thoughts swirling in his mind. Somewhere along the way, his stomach didn't agree with him and he vomited. As he struggled with the unsettling feeling, memories from the past resurfaced, particularly when Tahi had told him that Jin needed to prove himself useful to them.
If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a like and comment.